welcome to Legacy IS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about a very important neighbor, that's Bangladesh. India has recently put up a ban, export ban through the land ports for whatever goods that are coming from Bangladesh, specifically related to jute. So this is not a recent ban. Apart from jute, with respect to processed food, plastic boxes, carbonated drinks, there are other goods also which India had banned using land ports. So as of now, the land ports that Bangladesh, land as well as seaports. So land and seaports that Bangladesh uses to export to India includes Mongla and Chattogram. But these are the seaports. The land ports includes Srimantpur, Agartala, Sutarkandi and Daki. Through these routes, the ports will not be allowed to send exports from Bangladesh to India with respect to jute and jute related fabrics. But there is an option that they can make use of a Nhava Sheva port in Mumbai. So why is this so important? Because obviously it was very easy for Bangladesh to make use of the land ports to send goods to India, and from India it used to go to various other countries and of course used by Indians as well. So this puts up a huge amount of economic shock to Bangladesh, because now they will no more be able to make use of the land as well as seaports, which used to be very cheap for them. Talking about the goods that includes the recent ban is jute related yarns, hemp, jute single yarn, twisted yarn, woven fabrics amongst others. But as we discussed, this is the most recent export ban using the land as well as seaports. Previously, that's on May 13th, India had put up an export ban with respect to threads as well. So fabric, textile, processed goods, ready-made goods, processed food, cotton waste, wooden furniture, isme already India had put up an export ban making use of the land as well as seaports. Okay. So talking about the goods that can be exported and the estimated value, India estimated an annual import of garments from Bangladesh to approximately 6,000 crores. So May 13th, when we had put up an export ban using the land by using the land and seaports, it was causing them approximately 6,000 crores. But the recent ban is costing them approximately 770 million. So all these goods together has caused a huge amount of economic shock to Bangladesh. Now talking about the transshipment policy, Bangladesh also used to make use of India's air cargo as well as sea cargo to send off goods to Middle East as well as other countries in West Asia as well. Very recently, after the ban on the processed food, the yarns, and very recently on jute, India has also stopped that Bangladesh can no more make use of transshipment facility of air cargo as well as sea cargo from land and seaports that are present in India. So now, Bangladesh, to sell their goods, they cannot make use of Indian ports, or through air cargo, they cannot sell their goods to West Asia and Middle East. Now, Bangladesh will have to go to some other country so that the transshipment can be carried out. Let's say Bangladesh can go to Singapore or any other country, which is ultimately going to increase the cost. Again, an economic barrier and again an economic shock. If we talk about Bangladeshi jute import, if we talk about the total amount of jute that India has imported from Bangladesh, it used to be approximately $770 million. So obviously, Bangladesh was having a very heavy dependency on Indian markets to sell off their jute. India the Bangladeshi jute were sold at less than 5,000 rupees per quintal. That was a very meager value, given the fact that India's own MSP used to be 5,335 per quintal. So the prices at which Bangladeshi jutes were sold to Indian market was way lower than the MSP. So obviously people never used to buy it from the domestic sellers, domestic producers. They used to buy it from the Bangladeshi producers. Obviously there used to be a heavy loss for Indian producers. The Indian producers were largely occupying these states, that includes Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Bihar, West Bengal, Meghalaya, Assam, Tripura and Nagaland. All these states used to suffer huge amount of losses because Bangladesh used to get very cheap fabrics from China, or they were also able to produce it themselves. The domestic sector also used to produce it themselves, and they were able to produce it, sell it off on a duty-free value. Now that is something very important. Why? Because if you make something tax free, there is no import duty, there is no export duty, so it becomes a barrier free trade, and it becomes a very easy entry for foreign goods to sell their produce in India. Almost that eliminates all kind of competition. But despite of all of this, India has given some kind of relaxation to the goods that are being sold to Nepal and Bhutan. So that means if Bangladesh is making use of Indian territory to sell off their goods to Nepal and Bhutan, it can continue to do so. But as we discussed, to West Asia, Middle East, whatever you are making use of Indian seaport as well as air cargo for transshipment, that will no more be permitted. Apart from this, there are certain goods which are kept away from the ban. Matlab, these goods can still continue to come through land and seaports. What are these goods? That include Bangladeshi fish, edible oil, liquefied petroleum gas, and crushed stones. They will continue to enter Indian ports through land as well as seaport, and these goods can still enjoy the barrier-free status. That is, no import barriers. But unfortunately, the consequences, the recent steps that has been taken by India, for example, May 13th, we have tried to put up yarn, cotton yarn, plastic boxes, carbonated drinks, import pay, whatever restrictions we have put up. Very recently, we have put up a ban on jute and jute related products. This is all because of the consequence of what Bangladesh has been doing to India. Bangladesh has also put up land and seaport based restrictions on Indian export to Bangladesh. For example, Indian manufacturers have often tried to sell their produce in Bangladesh, but they have not been able to do so. That is largely because Bangladesh gets huge amount of cheap fibers from China. So they are able to produce it very easily, and Indian domestic producers of fiber, of fabric, are not able to make use of the Bangladeshi market. So Bangladesh can make use of Indian goods, but India was not able to get access to the Bangladeshi market. So if Bangladesh puts up a restriction on Indian exports to Bangladesh, that doesn't make a huge amount of difference. But if India puts up a restriction on Bangladeshi goods to Indian market, that obviously makes a huge amount of difference. So Indian firms are currently paying goods and sales taxes. That's the GTRI report that says Indian firms currently are paying 5% goods and sales taxes on locally sourced fabric, but Bangladeshi exports benefit from duty-free Chinese fabric as well as the export incentive that they get. All of this is taking place amidst the domestic political crisis, the international political crisis on the subcontinent, that China, Pakistan and Bangladesh are trying to align themselves, and the three enemies have joined it together to take steps against India. There has been some very devastating, drastic statement from Bangladeshi leader that about India's northeast and its landlocked nature. So obviously, it was very imperative for India to take such an action which will be economically punitive to Bangladesh. With that, we come to the end of this topic. If you have any doubt, please do let us know in the comment section below. Thank you so much and all the very best.